Hello everyone, hope you've had a really good week and that you're now looking forward to the bank holiday weekend and a bit of time off. This week we're going to look at three different things. Firstly, we're going to just cover some changes in the furlough scheme and particularly look at directors and how that works for them. Secondly, we're going to look at something called the Future Fund, which is really interesting. And thirdly, we're going to look at some of the changes we've introduced here in respect of the self-assessment process. So that probably affects most of us, as most of us need to do self-assessments. So first of all, with the furlough scheme, you may have heard that the scheme has now been extended to October, which is really good news. However, there are some changes that are being brought in gradually, and most of them will start from the 1st of August. The first of those changes is that you'll be able to apply for the scheme on a part-time basis. The second change is that the government will be reducing that 80% grant rate. So we'll look out for more information on that as it comes. One of the questions that we're getting asked a lot of is, can directors apply, specifically directors who are on the minimum salary and perhaps are business owners as well? Well, the answer to that is yes, you can, and many of our clients have done so. Clearly it's not a significant amount, but every little helps, doesn't it? You can't furlough, you can't claim the furlough scheme on dividends, so obviously it only applies to the minimum salary. But one of the interesting things to be aware of is that in order to be eligible, a director is not allowed to do any work for the company other than the statutory work, such as filing accounts and complying with company law, which on the face of it would seem to exclude things like business development or credit control. So it's obviously a tricky area and one that we need to be aware of. One would hope that common sense prevails. If you get an email from a potential client saying, look, hopefully we can start doing some work in a few months' time, you would want to answer that email, even though technically it classifies as business development. And I say common sense should prevail because surely you would expect that the government would want you sooner rather than later to be back in paid work so that you no longer need to use some of the government assistance programs. It's worth bearing in mind, though, that from August, as we mentioned, employees will be able to start returning part-time. Then it would open up the ability to carry out more day-to-day tasks for the company and still claim some of the government grant. So we'd encourage you to get in touch with us. If you haven't claimed the furlough scheme and you're a director, then speak to us as soon as possible. As we mentioned, we're going to talk about the Future Fund. So if you're aware of it, the Future Fund was brought out specifically to deal with what they identified was a gap. So lots of businesses weren't able to take advantage of CBILS because obviously CBILS requires that you're profitable. So they brought out something called the Future Fund, which was announced back in April and has just gone live from the 20th of May. And it's targeted at those innovative businesses who are pre-profit, so have been reporting a loss, and as we mentioned, wouldn't be able to access a lot of the other schemes. So how does that Future Fund work? Well, it's important to note that it's investment-led. So an investor needs to lead the process, needs to register himself, and then provide details of other fellow investors. The way the scheme works is it's a government-backed scheme whereby the government matches funding that's raised by the equity investor. And I won't go into too many of the details because there's lots of complexity as always with these schemes. But essentially the loan amounts that you can get from the government are between 125,000 and 5 million. And those loans obviously will automatically convert at a discounted rate to equity at some point in the future. So that's something to bear in mind. However, please get in touch with us if you feel that that's an area that you would like to find out a bit more about, and we'll certainly be talking to clients about it if we think that they may be eligible. So that's the Future Fund. As we mentioned, there's been a few changes with the self-assessment process here at 10 Forward. Specifically, hopefully you've seen in an email the link to a new online form that you can fill out as a way of gathering information about your activity over the 1920 tax year. Already the feedback is really good that we've had from clients. They love the form. It's very easy. You can fill it out on your mobile, on your tablet, wherever you are. It's quite intuitive. The point of the form really as well, there are quite a few questions in there, but you can get through it very quickly. I think the average time that most people are spending is about 4 or 5 minutes to complete it. The point of the form is just to ensure that it almost jogs your memory and captures all of the activities that you've gone through throughout the financial year that may result in having to fill out certain parts of the self-assessment. So please take a look at that. There'll be some links at the bottom of the attached to the video that you can click on for more information. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. As always, if you've got any questions about what we discussed in this week's video, then please get in touch. And as I mentioned, hope you have a really nice bank holiday weekend. Bye.